about this snowstorm that's coming tomorrow?
Yeah, you know
It's
what's
going to shut down the whole city or something?
what's fucking dumb?
What's that?
I got that email and I look at my weather app and it's 55 degrees. I'm like, that's...
Today,
I know, like, that's just so weird.
I guess the wind is going to be really bad, though. Yeah, but I got the email about school possibly shutting down. I was like, let's see.
No. That's not why they sent it. They sent it to say, don't try and weasel your way out of class because it's very rare that we get, like, they were very clear about.
Oh, you think that's what it was for?
Oh yeah. Hold on, let me get it out because it just screamed passive aggressive.
Well, it's just like if the roads are dangerous and it's just unsafe to be out driving, I'm not going to go to class and risk dying.
Right.
I'm going to use any excuse I can to avoid going to class. Are you kidding? Oh, the sun is too bright today. I need to stay inside and shield myself from the harsh rays.
Harsh rays.
The harsh rays. Well, I think the thing about this snowstorm, at least what I read, was that the wind is going to be really strong and going to make visibility hard for driving.
I hope it just blows me away.
To where? Where do you want to blow away to?
Albuquerque.
Okay.
All right. You want to blow away to Albuquerque?
Welcome to Quick Sidebar, where we talk about anything and everything and get distracted often. I am Jake, and I'm here with
Bradley.
And Dan.
And today, we're gonna spice things up by talking about what.
Why are we gonna go to Albuquerque?
We're recording live from Albuquerque. It was a terrible drive.
Yeah.
Very boring.
Long.
New Mexico's pretty boring unless you go to like the natural areas. Like it's just deserty and.
Yeah. But hello to all you Albuquerqueans.
Yeah. Well, thanks for having us. Yeah, today we're
Albuquerque is not a sponsor.
Thanks.
Just in case. Yeah.
I'm glad we cleared that out.
Yeah.
That could have been a legal nightmare.
I know. Yeah, Albuquerque. We definitely don't want Albuquerque on our ass.
All the people that we've shit on in this podcast, the city of Albuquerque, is like, fuck those guys. We're coming for them now.
So we're gonna keep changing things up by talking about what we always talk about, which is anything and everything. I don't know where I was going with that.
I thought this was your segue back into the actual topic.
It was, but then
We finally settled into the idea that we can't stay on topic, and so we're just gonna talk and see what happens.
We're just going to talk to you for an
just
hour.
gonna sit here and just kind of look at each other.
What if,
and,
now talk about I hear some weird art thing. What if there was a podcast where the people never talked and it was just like an hour of silence and people would listen to that shit? I feel like for the artistic, they don't ever. We should do that. Start a new one,
but just like old man noises or like dad noises.
Like you make noises like that you're there, but yeah.
What is that?
Clearing your throat.
Is that how you clear your throat?
No, it's my impersonation of dad clearing his throat. Is that not how you guys?
Excuse me, I got something in my throat.
Well, thanks for making me feel weird about how I clear my throat, guys. So.
You're welcome.
It was weird.
You deserve to feel. You deserve to feel weird about.
Well, it's not my fault.
So
today we're talking about horror.
Hurrur.
Horror. 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 That's a weird word to say.
Horror.
Horror. Horror.
Mm-hmm.
But like horror. But it's not horror. It's horror.
Horror.
Horror. Horror.
Okay, now that the word has no meaning.
Well, now, how would it sound with a British accent? Because it's such a gut, like a German R with Americans.
Yeah.
Horror.
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 How would it sound Irish? Horror.
Horror. Horror.
Horror.
Horror. Today we're talking about horror. It's all in the jaw.
Horror. Oh my god.
No, we're talking about horror entertainment. TV, film. We already talked about video games, so we're not going to talk about horror video games.
I'm sure
we might touch on it.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll shut it down immediately.
Wow.
Well, it's 2 versus 1.
Yeah.
Right, but I'm
overruled.
I have a good reason to bring up horror video games that I think will.
I can't wait to hear it.
I'm sure. You seem like you kind of like meant that, but also we're.
Well, my tone didn't match what I said.
No.
That's something very common with you.
That's so strange.
I've realized about Jake. Jake will have a body. Jake has this because a lot of communication is how you're sitting and like body communication. Nonverbal.
Yeah.
And Jake's nonverbal is typically very positive and welcoming and not threatening, but sometimes he'll say things that are very weird and threatening, and so it's very confusing because it's like is he just a psychopath who's playing with your mind, or
Yes,
is he just confused?
And
Is he
how that
confused?
ties into horror
Horror is it's horrifying.
is like when
how
little
weird he is.
kids, are like
Jake's
scary.
Jake's like a little kid.
And say
We already
scary
knew that,
things.
though.
If little kids say scary things, it's unsettling.
Jake,
You don't
that could
expect
be
it.
your job someday. You could train little kids to be scary.
Or if somebody's smiling and happy but says creepy things.
Okay, so I want to add. I'm glad that you started talking about scary children because I think that is a huge part in what makes scary movies scary. I want to just open it up. What's your favorite scary movie?
What's your favorite scary movie?
Oh, we should do this whole episode talking like scary.
That was a
people.
Scream reference for the two people here who clearly
I've seen
are
it.
not educated.
I'm not.
Scream is just not. Well, no,
I should disclaim this episode. I'm a newcomer to the horror genre.
Okay.
And because I shared that story back in the Irrational Childhood Fears episode
true, 'cause of
about
the
how my
zombie.
mother scarred me. So up until about
hey, this is a chance to say your name. Thanks for scarring Jake.
What's your favorite scary movie?
Yeah, get back on track. Come on, Jake. You're the leader of this fucking band.
You're right.
God. That's a tough one.
Don't get off track. What is your favorite?
So the sky today was really blue. That is a tough one, actually. I mean, okay. Well, I guess there's different versions of horror movies, I guess. So
Yeah,
there's
that's something else I wanted to talk about.
there's like demonic that are very centric. They're like religious, if you want to call them religious based, but they are in the sense that they talk about God and the existence of demons and devils in the Bible.
Right.
Those are really creepy. My favorite one of that kind of category would be. I guess I like The Conjuring. I really like the first Conjuring movie. I know everyone says the second one is the best.
I was watching it with my family the other day, and I couldn't remember which one you landed on. 'Cause I know
first
you and
one.
Chandler have a problem.
Yeah, me and Chandler are always fighting about it because her and most people think that the second one is so good, and I think the second one is
Still haven't seen it.
not good. Like, to me, it's cheesy and it has moments that are so like tropey, and it's like, God, they just took the formula of a horror movie and just like, okay, let's just take the first movie and dress it over this loose story based on a real girl. So I guess The Conjuring is my favorite, like demonic, kind of religious based horror movie.
Yeah.
You want me to keep going, or you guys want to jump in?
No, that's good.
Okay.
You're done for the day.
Okay, cool.
Bradley?
Sweet. I'll see you later.
That's hard. I know one that sticks with me that I remember well, and that kind of ties into like one of the things that I really enjoy about horror, and that's It Follows. And
Good movie.
so one of the things that I really enjoy about horror is the way, like, when horror movies or shows will just put something in the background and not point it out.
No,
and if you notice it, you notice it, and if you don't, you don't, and it's whatever.
Yeah.
I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like, it could be like a not so great movie, but if they do that, then I'll be like, that was really
That's-
cool.
Oh yeah. No, that's
Because there's so
love
many
that.
times in It Follows where in the background you just see someone casually walking towards them, and you're like, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I agree, because that plays off your imagination, which is the scariest thing ever.
Yeah.
It's your own imagination, so.
What a good movie.
Yeah.
Just a good movie. Like in general.
I don't love that movie, but I appreciate that movie.
Yeah, that's kind of what I would say, is that overall it's not a movie I feel like I need to see more than once.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily love the premise. Like, the basic premise I enjoy, like, I think it's a smart, but I don't like the whole,
specifics
once
of
it
the
gets
movie.
like, the specifics of like the plot and how things progress, I don't really like, it's kind of like whatever.
What was weird for me, the weirdest jarring thing was that it was an 80s movie, but they tried to make it like, it looked like an 80s movie. It felt like an 80s movie. The music was very 80s.
Yeah.
And it was like they made it with the intent of it being like in the 80s, but then they stuck it like nowadays with the girl's weird like little.
Well, no, that was no. I remember that was a whole. It was not set in time. There was no time.
I know they tried to be ambiguous about it, but that ended up confusing me because I was the whole time was like, oh, this is like.
Well, when that because that came out in like 2014, 2015,
something like that. Yeah.
I remember I was a senior in high school, and I remember looking up a shit ton of stuff about that movie because it just like. It was so cool, and like there was a whole list of things that like the I don't know whose decision it was, either the one that wrote it or the director, but like, and maybe it was the same guy, I don't know, or gal, but it was all about like subtlety to make the audience uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So like part of why the setting was ambiguous was to subconsciously put them at a state of unease, because when you don't know where to put where if you can't set the place or set the movie to a time or a location, all of a sudden you're uncomfortable by that because you can't resonate with it, you can't relate to it.
You can't figure out how that connects to you.
So that's why it's set in the 80s and the music kind of goes back and forth. You have 80s music, you have very contemporary music, and then she's got this weird looking, almost smartphone looking thing.
It's like a little clamshell. There's like a book on it or something.
That was the whole point of it. Was it was supposed to make you unsettled.
Wow. Well, then in that case, it did that because the whole time I was like, when does this movie happen?
That's what's great about horror movies, I feel, is that they're always so like detailed and artistic in the ways that they do things. Just
They have to be, yeah.
and
Until they're not,
sets
and
them
then they're
apart
really
from like other genres.
Well, it's a different type. Like thinking about how you would go about making a horror movie or anything horror was just it's how you set up scares, and it's also about because there's very what I've noticed from watching horror movies is everything at least for a point it happened in threes. The character would look one direction, nothing. Would look a second direction, nothing. When they look a third time, back to the first direction, whenever, there's the creature. And it was like that, like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and everything was set up in the threes. And now they're breaking that stigma, which is then good. Working because now you're not because it used to be I'd make a game of it. Me and my dad would go see the new scary movie and I could count out. I was like, okay, here we go, 3, 2, 1, and almost every time, boom, there was the thing or whatever it was. Yeah. But now you can't, and they're breaking and they're getting better. More people are putting more money into horror movies, which thus because horror movies forever have always been like these underfunded like
B movies,
indie films, like people like us just scrape together barely any money and just film what they can, and they're not necessarily bad, but they're missing that Hollywood gusto.
That's what I think is interesting. Like, it's weird that the horror genre is typically the underfunded genre because I really think, I guess everything can be done better with more money, theoretically. Yeah. But like that's one where I think more money would benefit it more than like any other genre.
Yeah, I agree.
Because if you can afford to have an incredible sound designer or like an incredible creative team behind the sound, like all of a sudden your movie is so much better.
Yeah.
And like, granted, action movies, the more money you have, the more explosives, the more effects you can have. But like at the root of it, it's just combat. It's just stage combat,
cool
fight combat, whatever it is. But like the horror genre, like a lot of money can go just a little bit more money than they're funded can go a long way.
Well, just look at when big studios do make horror movies, like It, for example, they really hit them out of the park because horror movies rely on that visual element of. And it's sound too, but it's more than just the dialogue. Like a horror movie can have a really shitty script, but still be a pretty good movie if the creative team does their job and really puts you in that unease. And it's really simple, like low lighting and weird angles and how they frame the shots and simple stuff that adds up to like I'm uncomfortable the whole time.
Yeah. I'll say real quick, my favorite horror movie.
Yeah.
Get Out.
Okay. That's a good one.
Yeah.
But his new one comes out soon.
Us I'm fucking stoked for that.
See, I'm trying not to be excited because what happens a lot of times when people make a hit out of the park for the first one, then the second one always falls short regardless of the quality because it's just people have such a
Their
high...
sophomore slump.
Well, yeah, and it's like that just naturally seems to happen for a lot of movie studios and stuff, so I'm purposely trying to be like, no, it's probably not going to be great, knowing that it really probably is because Jordan Peele's a master at it.
Jordan Peele's a genius.
I'm trying to be like, no, it's going to suck, so I can hope, even though it doesn't work, I know I'm doing that, but I'm going to try to convince myself.
And I think tied at a close second, I guess it's not a movie. I should have opened this up. Or TV. Horror TV is kind of up and coming. It's not as big of a thing now, but Black Mirror. Black Mirror, I consider it to be a horror genre.
I would agree.
But
it's a type
it kind of depends.
I think, there are some episodes that are less horror than others, but I think... And I guess this kind of goes into my next question, and I'll bring Black Mirror back later. But like, what do you define horror to be? Like, what makes a movie? Because yes, there are different genres of horror, but like overall, why? Like, how can you or why can you classify a movie as horror?
I would say a movie or show that like sets out to make the audience either scared or uneasy. Because I feel like uneasy kind of still ties into it because there are a lot of like psychological kind of films that are definitely like really good at that aren't necessarily trying to make you scared because they're not like jump scares and things like that, but it's just like a whole just like weird atmosphere for the whole film. Cure for Wellness, I would classify as a horror movie.
Oh, I hated that
Not a good movie.
See, and
Oh my God.
I didn't see it because of that kind of reaction. I was
Yeah.
excited to see it because the trailer, as trailers do, make movies look great, and it sucked.
And I thought that it did a good job of making you feel uneasy for the whole movie.
Sure.
Like they did a really good job with that, but then just overall the ending was weird and like it wasn't well put together. Anyway, in terms of TV shows though, Haunting of Hill House
I've heard such good things
is a
about it.
masterpiece.
There's a lot of subtleties.
Yeah, it's so, and there's like, because I'm super like crazy about this kind of stuff. It's really cool because throughout the entire show, there's just tons of ghosts that are just in the background for you to spot or not spot. And it's kind of like a fun game where while you're watching, you got to look for the ghosts.
Oh shit, that's
And
cool.
so I
really
watched
need
the
to
video
watch it.
afterwards, and it was creepy because there were so many that you just didn't
miss
see
the first time.
that you didn't see when you were watching.
Well, now we're gonna see
And
all
then-
of them because we know.
And then when you watch it in there, it's like, oh my gosh, that's so creepy that person's just standing there.
I love
it's so
that
unsettling.
I love that.
Because it takes a strong brain. It takes a good creative person to think of little sneaky ways to like sneak it.
It's so good.
Yeah.
Oh man.
And that's why I would put Black Mirror in there too, because a lot of the episodes, and that what's cool is it plays in this not so distant future, this dystopia, if you will, of like what human society could look like if we manipulate or take advantage of certain types of technology, and so it's all like there's that relatability of like, this isn't too far from where I am. Like I can foresee this happening. It's not like when our parents were kids and they're watching Star Trek and it's like that's so
Thousands of years
futuristic. Like it's it's sci-fi. Like no, this is pretty. I mean, everyone's wearing the same clothes pretty much, unless it's in Britain, then we can't really relate because it's not the same place. But like, the episodes in there are fucking uncomfortable, and like the things that you're seeing them do. Like a great example is the first episode of season 1, where the prime minister of England
that's the reason I don't watch it.
has
because of
to
the episode.
have sex with a pig on TV. Like that's uncomfortable, and then the fact that he does it, and like I love it.
Hey Jake, what are you doing?
I'm just studying.
Ah, bummer. Well, we're gonna head out. See you later tonight.
Jeez, Jake, you're still studying?
Yeah, it's been like 10 hours and 15 minutes.
Really? Ugh. Time flies, right?
Well, Jake, I gotta say, you do look great, all things considered.
And I feel great too. That's because I got my studying clothes at Project Meta online.
Project Meta?
Yeah, guys, Project Meta is a clothing company right out of Fort Collins that makes comfortable, affordable clothing for your long study sessions.
Whoa!
Yeah, all I did was go to projectmetaonline.wixsite.com/projectmeta, and they had a bunch of cool designs.
Wow! But Jake, you know me, I'm all about saving money. Is there any way I could, save some money?
You sure can. If you use coupon code SIDEBAR, you can save 10% off your purchase.
Awesome!
Thanks, Project Meta!
For me, horror is any movie or show or whatever it is that you can't watch comfortably the whole time. Like, because you watch a movie like, for me, like a movie like Mad Max or something is like a comfort movie to watch. I've seen it so many times, and if I just want to have something on, I'll put that on, and I know where it's going. I can just comfortably like relax. A horror or something is something that it doesn't allow you to relax. The whole, whether it's because you're scared or because you're worried about what's going to happen next or whatever, you just can't comfortably watch it. You're always like, oh, you're really tense. But then that actually brings up my next thing I was going to point out. I was like, do you guys consider like, because you can watch Friday the 13th and like the gory movies and get to the point in those horror movies where you can comfortably watch because it's just so cheesy and so just like, it's about the kills and the style of the kills.
But I would argue that when they were made, they were setting out to make the audience uneasy or scared.
That's true. That's true.
Because it was just different for the time.
But what about the current day ones that they make? I guess they try to update the scariness and try to keep them, but there's just the classic horror monsters. I just think I don't know if they really hold up.
I don't think they do. I think that
I think they do because they're classic, but not because they're scary.
Right. I'd be really interested to see how 2018 or whenever it came out, like the most recent It, or It Follows, or the critically acclaimed horror movies now. Like I'd be really interested to see how they hold up in 30, 40 years.
I think I've thought about that too, and I think that they will.
Yeah.
And the reason is that our technology has gotten to the point where we can make horror films realistic enough that it still resonates with us and that we can actually like believe it.
Yeah.
While as like older stuff, like maybe back in the day, like it was scary because it was revolutionary and they hadn't seen anything like that before.
Yeah.
But it still wasn't real and didn't look realistic. And sure, like technology will get better and become more realistic and things like that, and like we can make things look better and better. But there's only so far you can go before you've just hit before you've hit what is like perfect. This looks reality, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Which is, I think
I think we're basically there. Like we're not quite there, but we're basically there.
I think we're there.
Where like CGI can basically be put next side to side with reality, and you won't be able to tell the difference.
We're right there. See, I fully agree because my dad, he talks about when he was our age and younger, like The Exorcist came out, and that was the scariest movie of all time. And so I grew up with this idea that this movie was like life changing. Once you saw it, you'd just be scared forever. And I finally watched it a couple years ago, and it's creepy and unsettling, but it's definitely not the horror fest that I had built up. Because what I think of as a scary movie is leagues beyond where that was. But I think now we've got to this point in technology where stuff does look real. And I mean, all they can do from this point is just make it just fine-tune the details to make it look more and more real. But it's kind of like the 4K TV thing, like they're coming out with 8K, but your eye, your brain, your body can't physically register more than 4K or whatever it is, or maybe a little more. So they can make a 12K TV, and your brain's still going to perceive it as wherever it stops. So they can, until they get to the point where they can virtually put you in a story and like you feel like you're the main character and you're experiencing that, then I don't think it's going to get scarier per se.
Which kind of delves into video games.
Well,
which is exactly why we'll come back to that.
Well, and I just want to give like mad props to movies like Silence of the Lambs, horror movies that don't rely on any form of CGI, anything like that, and can still be unsettling and kind of terrifying. And like I remember I watched it a couple summers ago, and it wasn't as scary as I thought it would be. And I don't know if that was just because of my own light. Like I don't know if I was desensitized to it just from other things that I've watched. Like it wasn't as over the top or something that like it wasn't as revolutionary to me just because of what else I had seen. But like just the idea, and I guess that's kind of like serial killer stuff. Like Mindhunters is a TV show on Netflix. It's like based on real people doing real things, and that in of itself is freaky.
Not a sponsor.
Thank you. That in of itself is scary because you have these real people that are capable of doing this stuff that could happen in real life. Not to say that an exorcist couldn't happen in real life or it couldn't happen, but it's less out of the reach,
But it's interesting how things like when you start getting into people with like mental illness and like serial killers and psychopaths and things like that, it's interesting how that's like unsettling, but it doesn't, or at least I'll speak for myself, it doesn't affect me the same way that like a scary movie would, like a slasher film, you know, because you kind of distance yourself from it. And like when you're watching something like Mindhunter where they're talking about like psychopaths and like serial killers and like things that are like actually real and people have like done this, for me, like I don't get the sense of like fear of like, is, John Wayne Gacy going to be in my bathroom, It's more like it's unsettling to think about the fact that that's out there. But I don't necessarily feel like it's going to happen. It's going to affect me personally. I just sort of like get unsettled by like what it makes you think about like a person can do that and
now,
like feel okay about it.
Part of that is the fact that like as tallish, white, brooding looking men, like we don't really have to worry about serial killers as much as other people do. Yeah. Like
because usually they're the serial killer.
Right.
So, they're
we fit into the type.
Yeah, did you guys resonate with the... I just felt myself rooting for John Wayne Gacy. No, I didn't. But that is something, too, like finding movies that... Or like finding an idea that every person can relate to, that can find scary. And that's where you get the...
I think that's where the disconnect in horror comes. Because it's like...
Yeah.
My favorite horror movie, I never got to actually what my main one is, I think is probably The Shining.
I haven't
Really?
seen it yet.
Yeah, like the Kubrick Shining, and not because it's scary, but like as an art piece, that's my favorite. And Jack Nicholson's role's iconic, but it is my favorite movie that like creeps me out and like gives me
The new one.
the Bill Skarsgård, because I've seen clips of the original one and like I've listened to people review it and it just looks objectively horrible.
Sorry, I'm not talking about the old It. I'm gonna go back to the new It.
Yeah, the good one.
Yeah. That movie doesn't scare me. Like,
Yeah.
it's not. The freakiest part of the whole movie was the flutist.
Oh yeah,
That
the
was.
flute lady
I
in
did
the
not like that
synagogue.
at all. But after like the first watch, that doesn't bother me anymore. But like just the movie itself that isn't like really scary. But like what I enjoy is horror movies that like don't necessarily like freak me out to like where after I watch it I like take it home and like think about it and like get scared of the dark.
Yeah.
You know, and there are movies like that. But I also really enjoy horror movies that are scary, but at the same
These
time,
creep
it's
you
like
out.
I laugh at horror movies.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Like when it's like, and not necessarily because it's
Slashers,
funny,
sure.
but like I'm like I see what you did there, and I like that. You know.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
kind of like I like enjoying. I like watching like the different like the bits that they'll do. You know, like
Yeah,
the
the
things
gags.
that the way that they'll like try to get you. You know.
Yeah.
Like one of my favorite moments was watching the trailer for The Nun. The
gosh.
Nun movie, and that part where the nun's like following her in the tunnel, you know, and then she turns around and sees it, and you're like not expecting her to see it because it's like, oh, like, you know, usually the person is left unaware that the monster's there, and you're like, oh, she saw the nun, and you're like, oh, what's gonna happen now?
Yeah.
And then the other nun comes out of nowhere, and I just remember the first time I saw it, I was in like a movie theater, and I just laughed out loud. I was like, I see what you did there.
Yeah, they stole that from the.
Meanwhile,
Exorcist
I
too,
was the
think.
kid in the theater that went, "Oh my god!" Oh shit!
Yeah,
It got me. Oh, I remember seeing that trailer and being like,
They took that.
I don't want to see that.
So there's a scene in The Exorcist too that's deemed like one of the scariest movie scenes of all time, where a nurse or someone goes into like a room in a hospital and then walks back out of the room across the hall, and immediately, like, it's crazy. Immediately after, this person comes like crazy walking fast with this knife in their hand and just follows the nurse into the next room, and it's just how shocking and jarring it is. So that like surprise from the side, all these things are all old tropes that like. Because horror's been around since like since film.
Nosferatu or whatever.
Yeah, with the
vampire.
See, but all I think of that is him turning off the big the light from SpongeBob. So I can't ever think of him as an actual horror creature.
But that's the great thing that about horror that I really enjoy too is the way that like it is set up in such a way where unfortunately like there are like tropes that you kind of have
everything
to
has
have to
tropes,
buy
to be
into,
fair.
right? But you kind of have to buy into them, and like it's one of those genres that like is more noticeable, I guess, in its tropes, and so that's what makes it so great is when they can somehow find a way to you know, subvert, is that the right word? Subvert those tropes? Like subvert your expectations?
Yeah.
Of what's going to happen, and like, you know, kind of build up the trope, and you're like, oh, I know what's going to happen here, and then they do something different with it.
Yeah, they use the trope to their advantage.
Yeah.
Then, because that's how you scare people, by defying their expectations.
Yeah.
That's why people
Well, it's the
get
same
scared
thing
from
why
jump
things are
scares.
funny.
Yeah, exactly.
The unexpected shit is how you get
Yeah.
it.
Exactly, and I think that the more I watch it, and the more I watch good horror, the more I'm just genuinely like, it's like when I'm watching a pianist just play a just insane piano piece where like I can't even begin to think about how difficult it is.
Yeah.
Like I cannot put myself in a place of relating to that talent, and I just am in awe. I just love enjoying it. That's how I feel with good horror, where it's like, I don't know if I have a brain for this. Maybe I do. I don't know. But I just so like appreciate the art form, and so then I get like excited where you see movie like production companies like A24. They're picking, like, I think they just released a trailer for another horror movie that they're producing. Like, it's cool to see bigger named companies coming out with good horror, and not just Paranormal Activity, and then some big ass company buys that, and then they make 9 of those. You know, it's like genuinely like good horror being done by bigger companies. It's exciting.
Well, What are you gonna say? I'll let you go first.
I was gonna go back to Paranormal Activity.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
I like to jump to that.
I think that was like such a great movie to me.
The first one?
First time I watched
I think the
it.
first
Like,
three are solid movies.
I still kind of want to see the second and third one. I've
they're
heard
good.
terrible things, but you're the
Oh.
person that's told me that they're good.
You
so.
gotta watch them, man. They're scary.
Yeah,
They're creepy.
but I love it in its simplicity because it is like it's so stupid. Like, and that's I can't talk enough about how much I love horror and like how stupid it is because it's so dumb.
Yeah.
Because it's like it's a camera and all you hear is like a noise. And you're like, what was that?
Yeah,
And that's all they have to do.
Well,
that's it.
But the reason I think Paranormal Activity did so well and is so creepy is one, they originally tried to bill it as real found footage, and they got people at first, which is nothing's ever found. If that was real, they wouldn't release that shit for people just to watch in a movie theater. You get people dying. I think the reason that one works so well, or the first three, in my opinion, is because it shows people in normal life in just a house, like a boring looking house with boring looking human things, and they're experiencing stuff that's not completely entirely unbelievable to happen to you as a person, because it is just noises and things swinging,
and it's exactly the kind of stuff that we all experience
All
in
the
our
time.
house anyway.
So now when you go home, you're fucking terrified.
Yeah, so now you're just like,
because
if you hear a sound in your house, you're instantly gonna go, "Oh no!"
well, no, yeah.
Because you're watching that movie, and not only are you going, "Oh, I'm scared for them," but you hear that noise, and it reminds you of something you've heard at home, and go, "Oh, so is that what that was that I didn't pay any attention to?"
Yeah, and then one of the greatest moments of Paranormal Activity was when they totally up to the ante when they put the powder on the floor and you saw the footsteps. For me, that was like,
see, because that's the kind of shit that I'd be afraid to do.
Yeah.
Because I'd be so like going forward into my adult life as I someday buy a house. I'm never gonna have security cameras in my house because I am horrified of the idea of me just going through and just seeing some scary ass shit. I'd rather just have the monster live in the house with me and me never know about it.
and be totally ignorant. Yeah,
That's how I
Ignorance
feel.
bliss.
That's how I feel about Ouija boards. Like,
Oh, I don't mess with
there's a
Ouija
part of
boards.
me that's
no.
like, Ouija boards are dumb. There's no way they're
Why
real.
risk it?
But I will never try it
Yeah.
because I never
no.
want to be told. I never want to find out that they're real and that like.
Why take a chance?
Because then, as soon as you use it, and if it's real, and you tap into something, man, you opened a door that is hard to shut. Now you got
that you don't want to open in the first place.
no.
And that's the thing. It's like, yes, maybe ghosts are all just made up in people's mind. Maybe that's up to debate. But yeah, it's like if I were to go buy a Ouija board, this is a fucking joke because Hasbro sells them. They're like board games you can buy at Target.
Yeah.
And you just fuck with that, and you're like, oh, this is dumb. And chances are nothing happens. But what if? What if you just open up a little portal to the underworld or whatever, and ghosts are just spewing out of your fucking house? No. Scary
That
shit.
sounds awful.
Yeah, no, it's really bad. It's a killer. We're recording somewhere we can hear other people playing music, so it's
You
really
probably can too.
last time they couldn't hear it. We thought that. And
No, they could. I heard it.
It's
Could they?
there.
Yeah.
It won't be as prominent.
It's the flutist.
Dan's old ears can't hear the
I can't.
frequencies.
The high pitches.
It's the
my
flutist
dad,
from
but
it.
he can't do that
Just
though.
in the background.
The flute from there. Yeah. No, my dad can't hear certain frequencies though.
Well, yeah, a lot of people.
Well, he has hearing damage from. He used to work in a print shop, so he has like legit hearing damage.
print shop. Like,
Back in the 90s, like print magazines and shit.
oh, are those loud?
Very apparently, he didn't wear any ear protection. So like growing up, me and my brother would always turn up high pitched shit. Like, Dad, can you hear it? And he wouldn't hear it. Like the oven beep, the beep beep when your food's ready. Can't hear that shit.
Wow.
Oh,
So every time the oven would go off, so when he was cooking, we had to go shout, "Dad, your food's ready!" But he couldn't hear it.
But you'd have to go, Dad, your food's ready. So he could hear it. Yeah.
yeah.
I didn't have a conversation with my dad until I was 13.
Hey, speaking of horror, here's a funny story. I almost killed my dad when I was younger.
That is funny.
Well, here's why it's funny. It's funny to me. It's funny because he keeps fish tanks, so he has them in the basement, and he has like moonlights, so like the coral can grow. So he'll have the basement completely dark and just have the tank lights on. He'll be looking in whatever he does. And one time as a kid, I had this Bugs Bunny mask, and so I thought it'd be funny to walk downstairs and go say hi to my dad. And so he's looking at his fish tank with his flashlight, and he's all focused. And I just came up next to him with this fucking Bugs Bunny mask on and just stood there. And he tells it he was looking, and he just looked over and saw this fucking thing right in his face, and I had a goddamn heart attack.
Wow.
So and that's legit. That's the kind of shit that
horrifying.
scares people.
Yeah.
Here's a scary story that my dad experienced. there was one day. I'm trying to figure out how I want to share this story.
You've already started. Just go with it.
So I was in my room one time.
Were you naked or something?
No.
Oh, why are you so weird about it? Just
Well,
tell it.
no.
Let him tell the story, Dan.
I'm trying to.
Too long.
Yeah,
Get to it, man.
so many pauses.
No, so there was a point in time where at our house we had mice, or I think they were rats, something. We had mice in our house.
Probably
And
mice.
rodents.
Yeah,
some variety.
rodents.
You would know if you had rats.
We used to have pet rats, but these were not them. They were not welcome.
Domesticated.
Yeah, they were not domesticated. They were wild rodents.
Wild rodents.
And so we'd put traps everywhere to like kill them.
What?
That's what those are for,
Kiss
Dan.
and tails, and you release them into the woods? What do you mean? That was a tail trap.
No, so
That's why you put the
just-
cheese.
yeah, to give them a treat because
Yeah, so that they can grab it with their tail. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Mouse anatomy is I don't
it's
understand.
insane. Yeah, no, it's like an elephant with its trunk.
Yeah,
Basically
they
the
eat
same
with their
premise.
tails. Yeah.
They are afraid of mice too.
But anyway, I was in my room one time and I just heard my dad let out a blood curdling scream from the TV room, and like I have never heard I've heard my dad like use a strong voice, like a yell, never a scream. Like this was like a high pitched fucking.
This is the uncontrollable scream.
Oh yeah.
We
It's-
all have one.
And so I like
Can't control it.
I heard it and then second guessed myself. Like that had to have been something that he was watching. And I was like, no, that was Dad. And so I go, Dad, you okay? I was probably like 15. You okay, Dad? And it turns out one of the rats just crawled right over his body while he was watching TV. So like one of the mice just and he just yeah. So it wasn't really. It was horror for him, not for me. And he
Entertainment.
didn't. Yeah. Oh,
I have a
fun-
story
yeah,
as
it
well.
was fun. Oh, okay. Is it about
I
your
may
dad?
have already told it, but
Is it about your dad?
the
it
spider?
is. Yeah.
Oh, good.
Killing spiders is a
I mean,
good
I don't remember
idea.
which parent, but we'll say it's my dad.
Okay.
So apparently, when we were younger, we had this. You know those toys that talk.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have like specific like things that they say.
Oh, yeah.
We had like a Big Bird toy that would like play peekaboo with you.
Oh, God, that's scary already.
Yeah, and apparently like the batteries were kind of getting low on this thing, and it was like late in the night, and my parents were like walking like to bed or something, and like it was a motion sensor on it, and so they walked past it, and it went peekaboo.
Burning that fucking thing.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that's the whole story. It's not a very long.
No,
one,
that
but
was
it's-
a
yeah.
great
So
story.
scary,
That's
yeah.
awful.
Yeah.
Peekaboo. Guys, can we write a horror film?
Yeah.
I want to. I think a good horror
Can we?
is better than
Yeah.
anything.
Jordan
I-
Peele can do it. We can do it.
Yeah, if Peele can do it, who came from a world of such strong comedy,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden out of fucking nowhere releases great horror movie, and now he's a new Twilight Zone guy.
Yeah.
I bet you lots of comedians could write some fucked up shit. Because you
Probably.
know that their humor comes from a dark place.
Yeah, that's what comedians
You know,
hate their
like-
lives. That's why they're
yeah.
comedians. They're trying to laugh at themselves.
Like Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
Jim Carrey could probably write a terrifying movie.
Well, he was in some scary ass movie, The Number 23, and that's supposedly
it wasn't that.
Oh,
Actually,
see, I've heard
when
it was scary.
when I was a kid, it was very scary.
See, I've never seen
Number
it 'cause
23.
Yeah, it was.
I think it's The Number 23.
The idea that everything in your life adds up to the number 23 and it like had some sort of demonic attachment to it. Like as soon as you become aware that everything is 23, then you can't become unaware, and then he just became obsessed. It was like an OCD thriller.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh,
So he
spoiler alert.
weird.
I didn't reveal anything.
Oh,
I just
that's
told
it.
you.
That's
not
the first 5 minutes.
Yeah. Hi.
After that, it's just an hour of him just like being 23.
Yeah.
23 for an hour.
And then just walking around and things start adding up to 23 and he just freaks out.
Yeah. It's only a 10-minute movie.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
not 23 minutes. See, you fucked up there.
Damn it!
Come on!
All right.
They was just sitting there. For
Well,
the
on
tape.
that shitty joke, I think it's a good time to end this. God, that
Quick
whoever-
sidebar has been fun. We've enjoyed doing this.
Yeah, sorry guys, this is it. This is our.
This is the one.
But,
Final farewell?
Yeah. Sorry to break it to you right at the end of the episode.
and it's a shorter episode because we just need the heart to go.
Yeah. So we're not even going to bother with the outro stuff.
Yeah.
So
If you do want to,
I I mean, if you want to save 10%,
At
projectmeta.wixsite/website/.com/net
online
World Wide Web.
.org.
It's weird that they put World Wide Web in the like. I've never seen it spelled out before in a-
www.worldwideweb.projectmeta.
Yeah.
What does the HTTP stand for?
Human teleportation
Problem.
Peopleness.
It's one of those three.
Gotta be.
I love that the two T's are teleportation.
Thank you. But yeah, that was. Hope you learned something. Hope you walk away feeling like, hey, I want to watch horror. I want to watch horror.
Hurrah.
Horror.
Horror.
Horror. Horror. Aura. No, it'd be aura.
Aura.
Aura. Aura. Aura.
All right.
Sorry to any of you Brits. Lytton, is that derogatory? Brit? Or is that
It's
just short for...
2019. Everything is. You can't say
You're
that.
right.
All of you
anything.
people from England.
That's probably
No, but
Individuals.
it's the United
Sorry.
Kingdom.
Yeah.
Idiot. Just yeah, individuals, not people.
Anyone listening, aliens included. Anyway, any being observing this.
Yeah, thanks for listening. Find us on all streaming platforms. I don't know what was
I've been
coming
noticing
out.
lately as I've been listening to the past podcasts, you have a lot of times where you just like cannot figure things out. Are you okay? Do you need to talk, Jake? Do we need to like...
No, I've been going to a counselor.
Just
It's been
having the
pretty good.
longest stroke in the world.
Yeah, I've been having a stroke for almost 22 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Since you were born.
Yeah.
So Jake's 22. I just revealed his age. I just doxed you, bro.
I'm not. I said I'm almost 22.
Okay, you turned 22 in like a week or whatever.
You don't know.
2 weeks.
When's my birthday?
Soon. March something.
When's my birthday?
When's my
March.
birthday?
Bradley's is May 30th.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is. It
it's-
absolutely
This
is.
is the end of May or something.
No, it's May 30th. It's a day after my sister's. I know this.
Damn it.
But you doxed the shit out of Brad.
Yeah,
Now everyone
wow.
knows it's his birthday.
Great.
I didn't say that
forward
his
to
social
that.
My
security
birthday.
number was 00000000001. Bradley was the first U.S. citizen ever.
Like, so, I could see that.
Dan,
Did you count out those zeros properly? That
I
seems
did.
like too many.
It was 3, 2, 4.
Okay.
Yeah. Dan. Oh, I feel like I used to know this actually.
Yeah, you don't know my birthday.
No, it's August,
No.
October,
No.
July,
No.
November,
No.
September,
No. You're just gonna guess every month?
December.
No. You're in the wrong half of the year.
Feck! April?
Yeah, closer.
Okay. Oh, dude, it's April 16th.
No.
Dang it.
Not the 16th. Yeah, sure, it's 16th.
What is it?
No, I'm not gonna tell you. I don't want people to know my birthday. I don't like my birthday. I think it's stupid.
420.
That'd be funny, but no.
Oh, okay. Well, sorry if you were disappointed, as I am.
I'm always
wanting to know.
disappointed, so.
Oh.
Oh, my birthday?
No, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to you. You.
Me?
No. Okay.